Al, you are very sleepy.
I'm drained.
Very tired, so we're gonna make things easy on you, and I'm taking the reins today. Woo! That's the horse noise if you are unaware.
This has already gone in a weird direction, and I love it.
There used to be a thing when I would go swimming with my friends where I would do a weird horse motion and make a weird horse noise, and they would just call it doing the horse.
Doing the horse.
So that's a thing in my life. If you wanted to
Cool.
know that.
Cool.
Anyways, we're going to. I'm pulling out the grab bag. It's been a while since we've done that,
It has been a while.
and I'm gonna chit chat about some games I've been playing recently.
Okay.
While Al sits there and listens and rests, and hopefully doesn't fall asleep.
I'm going to participate.
I mean, look, it's you. You could easily just be like listening and then honk shoe in the next second.
I mean, maybe.
It's true. Anyways, hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello.
This is episode 347. And it's time to open up the grab bag.
Time to grab.
Time to bag.
That's you. You're a rag bag.
It's true. Yeah, I've been playing some random games here and there recently, and figure there's no better time to talk about them than now, so might as well talk about them. I'm not going to go like super in depth into a lot of these games. Just because two of them are pretty short. And there's not like a whole bunch of stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But and also just want to make this more of an easy episode, like I said earlier, and not. I probably won't be talking for an hour or something like that. I would highly doubt it. If I am, I would be highly surprised. Anyways, let's talk about video games. Two of these games I got off of PlayStation Plus because they were free, so I was like, I'll just download these and play them because that's the thing you can do.
Nice.
This first game I played was Trek to Yomi. It is a game that came out last year on the PlayStations, the computers, and the Xboxes on May the 5th, 2022, and then came to Switch on January 30th of this year. Like I said, it was a PlayStation Plus game at some point, I think, this year, and I remember looking at it and seeing, liking the look of it,
Mm-hmm.
and being like, sure, I mean, I have this, I might as well download this and play it when I have a chance to actually have to play other games that aren't long games that are going to take up my entire time, which was basically Final Fantasy 16 and Trails into Reverie.
Yeah, it sounds
So
about
now
right.
that I have like a downtime after playing those games, I can actually get into other stuff like this. The key thing about this game is that it is a side-scrolling action game, but the look of it is basically patterned off of Kurosawa films,
Oh, huh.
like those style. Like it's like letterbox. It has film grain in the game itself. It's black and white, all that sort of stuff. It is a very, very nice looking video game. The problem I think that comes with this is that is a lot of style and not a lot of substance.
Mm.
It is a short game. I think it took me like a couple of hours to get through. It's like 5 chapters where you are taking your main character who you see grow up from like a child to running a village, and then his village gets ransacked by a bunch of rebels and everything, and essentially you die like midway through, and you go through Yomi, which is the Japanese underworld, and basically you utilize that to get back to life and either enact vengeance or do whatever you decide you want to fulfill your life to be, essentially. The combat's pretty simple. It's like you have a couple buttons to do like light and heavy attacks. You have some side weapons that you can use, like shurikens, and then like a gun if you want to use a gun, and a bow and arrow, stuff like that. The problem is there is some like combos here and there that you can do, but they're just not super in depth or anything, and a lot of the combat kind of just feels very similar. Like the only things that really change up the combat are enemies with like armor or stuff like that to really make it a little bit different. There's some spiritual enemies you'll get when you're traveling through Yomi. But for the most part, it's basically just you're hack and slashing your way through enemies as you're side scrolling along and doing all that sort of stuff. But again, I think it is a very nice looking game. The developers were clearly yes, we watched a lot of Kurosawa films and we're yeah, we want this to look like this. And even saying they were influenced by silent movies from the 20s and 30s. And they wanted like each scene to look like it was a magical moving theater stage rather than a screen, which I think is it works. I think it all works like in that aspect. It just I think if there was more story or like a better story per se, and better combat, I think this whole thing could have flowed a lot better and been a more cohesive package. But I mean, I played it for free. Well, you played it for $50 a year, I guess.
$50 a year, yeah.
The true thing to say there.
Free-ish.
Free-ish. Free asterisk.
Yes, that's the way to do it. Free asterisk.
Yeah. I think for that, it's fine. Like, if I had paid money for this, I probably would have been a little bit more disappointed. But I think that's the road you travel with, like, smaller indie games like this. On Metacritic, it has an average of like a 71 out of 100 on PC, 69 nice on PS5, and 72 on the Xbox. So about that 7 out of 10 range. I think it's probably about kind of what you would expect for reviews of this type of game, essentially. This does also say that since this game is set in the Edo period of Japan, they actually like went out and got like a Japanese historian to make sure the dialogue was period appropriate and all that sort of stuff, which is smart. Like, that's a good thing to do, especially if you're going as stylistic of a game as this and you're making like a period piece in that setting as well. You want to make sure you're doing the right things, and it's neat that they're able to do that, especially for like a smaller team such as this, to pull off that history in a way that might have been hard if they obviously didn't do that, but also like just with a smaller team as well, it could be hard to go out and find those type of people, essentially.
As a historian, I appreciate it.
For sure.
Yay.
But yeah, that game is like that. It's an okay game. Like I said, a lot of style, not as much substance, which I think is a fair way to assess that. Let's go in a completely different direction now from that. From small indie game to big budget AAA game.
Oh my god.
I played through the campaign of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War recently.
Did you really?
It was, again, another PlayStation Plus game.
Wow.
So I was like, I mean, I mostly downloaded this game just to play the multiplayer, just because, it's Call of Duty multiplayer. It's very mindless. It's easy to just play a few games and then get out. But then, I was like, I have the campaigns here. I might as well just look at this and see what it is, because I haven't played really a Call of Duty campaign since probably Advanced Warfare, and that was like 2014, so like 9 years ago. So it's been quite a bit since I played one of these, high production value Call of Duty campaigns that like 15% of people actually play.
Oh god, mine was like Modern Warfare that came out in what, 07, 08, something like that?
Yeah, COD 4.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
It's the last one I played.
Yep. This is the 5th Black Ops game.
Wow.
Yeah. And apparently the story is set in between Black Ops 1 and 2.
Oh.
I couldn't tell you a thing that happens in either of those games because I played those over a decade ago. So no clue what is happening in any of that. Obviously, as the name suggests, this is take place during the Cold War, the height of the U.S. and USSR
Tensions?
Tensions, yes, that's a good way to phrase it. You get to do war crimes for digital Ronald Reagan, as everyone is always wanting to do.
Yikes.
They literally made a version of Ronald Reagan. He shows up during the story at one point.
Do you get to launch him into space?
No.
That's what I want to do with Ronald Reagan.
It's very disappointing, I know. The story itself is basically a whole lot of espionage, spy stuff where you're going around you're trying to take down this super Russian spy named Perseus, who eventually at some point gets access to a bunch of nuclear weapons that the U.S. has stored or hidden throughout all of Europe. And, you got to stop him from blowing all the nukes up and all that sort of stuff. It is interesting because this game has multiple endings.
Oh, really?
And essentially you play as a created character that you learn through the near the end of the game was essentially a person working for Perseus, who the good guys, the U.S. forces, basically took prisoner, I guess is the way to put it. and tried to like interrogate him to get like the information they want. And when that didn't work, they used CIA mind control to implant memories and make them
Oh,
one of the team.
oh boy.
So you learn that near the end of the game, and then basically at the end of the game, you have a choice of like, do you want to stick with this team or do you want to betray them? Which is interesting.
What'd you do?
So I did both routes, obviously, just to see how they stacked up with each other. I did the bad ending, I guess, first, which is the where you betray them, where you basically take them to a place that's not where you're supposed to go, and then you set up an ambush for them, and you just have to like murder your entire team.
Oh,
And then like the dude running Perseus shows up and is like, "Here you go, you can launch all these nukes now."
yay!
And you're like, "Yay!" And you get a scene where Ronald Reagan's very sad and very upset, and he's like, "Did they know the U.S. These were U.S. nukes?" And this guy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, you better take care of this. Make sure no one knows about this."
Oh my god.
Like, oh no, poor Ronald Reagan.
So they used MK Ultra essentially.
Yes, they specifically name that. Yes.
Oh, they specifically do call it MK Ultra.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then, Ronald Reagan does war crimes, which he actually did war crimes, but not quite like that. I mean, not quite like launching nukes at people and then covering it up. That I'm aware of. That I'm aware of. Let me clarify. Oh, though, MK Ultra, interesting.
I mean, there are also like they definitely reference actual things. There's a operation called Operation Fracture Jaw that happened, I guess, in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
That is a thing that's a mission you run in this game. Because you have to do like Vietnam flashbacks because they implant memories of you being in Vietnam, even though you definitely were not there.
Hmm.
There is a cool set piece mission where you have to go to like the KGB headquarters and sneak in through all that, which I thought was pretty cool. You get digital Gorbachev there as well. You gotta hit all the bases of Cold War people.
Right.
No David Hasselhoff tearing down the Berlin Wall, though, unfortunately.
You mean Gorbachev?
Hmm?
Do you mean Gorbachev?
Yeah, I don't know how to say Russian names.
Sorry, it's okay.
The other ending is basically you just do the thing, you stop the people, and you're good. And then they also just kill you at the end.
Oh. Well, I didn't expect that in the good ending.
Which is, cool, fun.
So how much does this feel like American propaganda?
I mean, it's obviously a lot. There's also some weird things in there where like there is product placement in this game.
What?
There is like you see old like 80s Doritos and Mountain Dew logos scattered throughout, and then there's like Fila as well, where like one of the characters wears a Fila shirt. It's very weird.
God.
There's licensed music in this game.
What?
Which I should
What
look
is
up
it?
and see what the licensed music for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War was.
Yeah, now I'm curious. Maxwell's also curious. He just told me so. And by told me so, I mean he jumped down.
There's definitely just stuff in there where I was just like, huh? What? Why is this playing right now?
I'm very, very curious.
We'll see if this loads or anything. But yeah, like the product placement was very bizarre. Just to see all that like pop up and everything.
Yeah, that sounds really weird.
I was just like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What is this here for? Let's see here. This is like music in all of the games.
Well, that won't do it.
That's a lot. Let's click down all the way down to Cold War. It's a Cold War because it's cold.
It is not a hot one.
No. I clicked and then it. Oh, where are we at? That's it. Spirit in the Sky is the first thing that plays in the opening cinematic, which that makes sense.
Okay.
Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Okay.
The Stroke by Billy Squier. And then I believe during the Vietnam mission, you hear Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf.
Wow, not even Credence.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
Yeah. If you're gonna have Vietnam, you gotta have Credence.
Yeah.
Scrubs.
So yeah, all that was in there, and I was just like, huh?
That's so weird.
What is that here? You want to hear some controversies about this game?
I absolutely do.
All right. CBR.com reported that the teaser trailer had been banned in China due to a 1-second depiction of the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests.
Ah.
An edited teaser was released worldwide instead. PC Gamer's Andy Chalk wrote, There's also no mistaking the irony of active censorship in a promo trailer for a game whose tagline is literally "Know Your History." Interesting. An editorial by Ian Walker and Kotaku accused Call of Duty of legitimizing the views of Yuri Bezmenov when it included footage of his interview with some dude. G. Edward Griffin in its August trailer. Among the complaints he had was Bezmenov's views acted as a magnet for far-right conspiracy theories and personalities, that Activision presented Bezmenov's interview without the proper context, and that Bezmenov himself held views that Walker argued were on the far right.
Yikes.
Big yikes. Big yikes.
Big yikes.
So, this is also the series that has done, like, whitewashing of war crimes that have actually happened. So
Right, correct.
Can't say I'm super surprised that they would do kind of dumb stuff like that.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But, yeah, this was, it's Call of Duty. It is, it's one of those things.
You go pew, 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 pew.
You go pew, 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 pew. And then you get mind controlled.
Cool.
Who doesn't love getting mind controlled?
I don't, it's not on my top 10 things of like stuff I want done to me or want to experience. But maybe that's just me.
I can't believe the United States would do this to us.
Wow. Who could have seen it coming? The U.S. doing bad.
The U.S. would never do a war crime.
Never do a war crime. What are you talking about? Ronald Reagan would never do a war crime, although MK Ultra was way before Ronald Reagan. Still, I just got to call out that Ronald Reagan did literal war crimes.
The Wikipedia page for MK Ultra says Jim Jones was an alleged experimenter of this.
What?
Which I don't know if that's true or not, but that's a wild thing to put there.
Yeah, that is wild. I've never even heard of that like theory. Huh. Meow, yes. Apparently Max likes that theory.
Alleged subjects of MK Ultra. Here's all these bad people.
Oh God.
Anyways, that's
Call of Duty
that's Call of Duty.
and war crimes.
Call of Duty and War Crimes and Digital Ronald Reagan.
Was he creepy?
I mean, in general, or just like looking at him?
Well, I mean, like Ronald Reagan is creepy, but like, was the digital version of him creepy?
Yes.
Okay.
It looked very unsettling.
Ugh. Like Uncanny Valley, or just like...
Yeah, that kind of deal.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, this doesn't feel right. But he lets you go do some war crimes. So like, what's wrong with that?
Woo!
And he's totally not going to do anything bad here stateside.
Nope, never.
Yikes McGikes. Anyways, let's go from big budget AAA games back down to small indie games. Final game I've played recently is a game called A Space for the Unbound. It is a game that came out on my birthday this year.
Your birthday!
On the Switch, the PlayStations, the PCs, and the Xbox. It is a period piece set in the late 90s Indonesia.
Oh, huh.
And basically it is about a high school romance that is set around the end of the world.
Oh.
Also, a game that is very heavily about depression.
Hey, I have that.
Oh boy, I mean, let me tell you. There was some stuff in this game where I was like, this seems familiar. I don't want to go too much into the story of this game because I feel like this is a game you probably would want to play.
I mean,
it is a pixel art adventure game essentially.
Ooh, that sounds good.
I will say there is one part though where you don't see it, but a cat dies, gets run over. Which
I don't like that.
That's not good. I mean, they do give you like a content warning immediately when you start this game up. It's like, hey, this game deals with depictions of depression, anxiety, and like pet death. So like, be
Oof.
careful.
Oof.
I do want to go into the development of this game though, because it talks about kind of like, the idea behind it and like some of the stuff within it. Uh, I'm going to probably butcher some of these names because I'm just yeah. Dimas Novan Delfiano, the game director from the development studio Mokujiken for A Space for the Space for the Unbound, began development on the title in 2015. A team of 2 to 3 people began work on the game, while the studio also developed multiple other games simultaneously. Dimas completed an initial prototype of the story in 2015, which served as a core for what would be developed. Dimas found the first few years of development incredibly difficult as he struggled to build a substantial game from the beginnings of the prototype. In 2019, Dimas noted that he had found the right formula for the game, and Mojiken released a demo that was released to positive reception in 2020. Around 2020, everyone at the studio, numbering around 12 to 14 people, were able to shift focus to working on the game. Dimas, since a young age, wanted to create a game set in an Indonesian high school, and it was inspired by the concept of an anime pilgrimage, where people travel to compare real-life locations against their anime-depicted counterparts. He wanted to highlight his personal experience of growing up in 1990s Indonesia and wanted players to feel the same patches of time that he had experienced. Dimas was inspired by multiple Japanese concepts during development, including Mono no Aware, or the pathos of things, which Dimas described as an appreciation for or awareness of impermanence and the passage of time. He noted that every generation has its own memories, and A Space for the Unbound is our memories, and we want to preserve that before we completely forget about it. Dimas said it was his goal to preserve his memories as an Indonesian growing up in the 1990s in the game. And the game was heavily inspired by the works of Japanese filmmaker Makoto Shinkai.
Ah.
Which definitely you can tell. The game heavily features anxiety and depression in the story. Dimas and the rest of the development team consulted professionals for their input to help with telling it appropriately. Which he does mention in an interview, like, he went around to, like, everyone on the team and was like, hey, what's your experience with this? And he basically came back and was like, everybody's experience with it is unique. So, like, this is a game about a specific person dealing with that, but, like, we can't necessarily map, like, a generic, route to that. So we had to go talk to actual people about, like, how this all works and, like, make sure we're getting this right. And it definitely feels like they do a good job of, like, utilizing those aspects in the story and, like, making it feel not like it's tacked on or like they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're just using it as a ploy for, like, or like as a plot point just to have it. Like, it feels more like it is like this is how people deal with this. It's not. Yes, that's what I'm basically trying to say. It's not exploitive. It definitely, like, you for the most of this game, you basically are kind of like looking at it and, like, it's a bit of a mystery of exactly what's going on, but by the end of it, you really start to get, like, a sense of, like, okay, here's what's happening. Here's why those mental health issues are depicted in this game and why they are such a big deal, because it gets, by the end of this game, it is very heavy.
Oof.
And it was just like, it gets a little rough at times, and there's definitely times at the end I was like, oh, I feel like I've definitely heard or, seen Al kind of be in this type of mood, or, like, had, like, talked about this kind of stuff. So I was like, this is a little familiar, a little interesting.
I helped somehow.
But it's very good. Like, the story is very interesting. I think using the period piece and, like, setting it in a place where you don't really have a lot of games set, like, such as Indonesia, makes it such a, like, a unique experience overall. Because you really get to see kind of, like, the culture side of it and everything of that nature. Plus, you get to see kind of, like, the 90s aspects of it, where, like, there's a lot of, like, references to, like, 90s video games, 90s arcades, all that sort of stuff.
Ooh, neat.
Like, all that stuff is very neat and everything. And I think it deals with, like, the mysteries of the game and how it unfolds, all of that in a well done way to kind of, like, keep you guessing until you get to the very end. And it was definitely one of those games I had heard about throughout this year, of, like, because I'd seen it get, like, high scores, because, the Metacritic for it is an 85 on the Switch, an 86 on the PC, and an 83 on the PS5. So I was like, hey, people are saying good things about this, and, like, I thought the setting and everything, and, like, the way, or, like, just the general idea of the story sounded very interesting. So I've been waiting on and trying to, find time to really get this game and play it. And as soon as I did, I was pretty much hooked from the beginning, and just, like, go through a chapter each night and then hit a cliffhanger and just be like, what is happening? And then, play the next night and get new information and still be like, what's happening, and all that sort of stuff. It's a very good time. Not necessarily a good time at times, but It's a
You
very
you
interesting
enjoyed
game.
your time with it.
I enjoyed my time with it. I think it is well worth the highest scores it has gotten, and I thought they did like I said, they did a good job with like, you know, tackling the mental health issues of it and showing a realistic side of that sometimes you don't get in video games, or sometimes it's like kind of just used as a ploy in video games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I hope you at some point decide to play this. It is on sale on the PlayStation Store right now if you want to get it, but I think it's only for tonight only. It will reset, I think, by midnight because the sale ends.
Oh.
I think it's like $15 right now. So there's that. Or you could get it on the Switch. I don't know if it's on sale on the Switch right now, but
It's
if you
not.
want to, boo, how dare they? But yeah, I'm very glad I was finally able to kind of like get a chance to play this game. It's very fun. Has a lot of good mysterious elements to it, a lot of supernatural elements to it, and yeah, that story is very good. So there is that. As you can tell, a very clear, wide swath of games that I've played recently.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
Sometimes you gotta play a little bit of everything.
No, you're right. I mean, I've definitely gone all over the place when it comes to games as well.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm also playing FIFA, but that's just FIFA. You know, you can kind of understand what it is to play FIFA. You play the soccer.
I didn't know you were playing FIFA right now.
Yeah, I have my manager mode where I'm a manager.
Are you managing them?
I'm managing them. We're like 6th in the Premier League right now. I got hired to be the manager of the Canadian national team.
Oh,
We beat the U.S. recently, which is very nice.
nice.
We beat the U.S. and Brazil very recently back to back.
It's because of all those war crimes.
Exactly. I had to get revenge. Take the U.S. down a peg or two.
You know, sometimes you just gotta.
But yeah, that's the games I've been playing recently.
Neat. I just bought that game.
Nice.
Not FIFA.
Dang it! Now we can't play FIFA.
We cannot play FIFA.
I mean, we could. There's share play.
I would watch you play FIFA.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
I mean, I like soccer. You know that.
It's true. You had a dream about soccer recently.
I did. I had a dream about soccer.
And you predicted it. You predicted a result.
It was weird.
Anyways, yeah, that's gonna wrap up this episode. I just want to talk about those games I've been playing recently. Like I said,
Neat.
Give out a little bit of a break. She's had a long day.
Very long day.
She didn't fall asleep because I talked about war crimes and that perked her up.
History, war crimes, you know, things that get me interested.
History, war crimes, mental health.
Yay!
The Holy Trinity.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that's for true.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's very true. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. If you would like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool is where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared and Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And explore us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole wealth of bonus content as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, Al's going to take us to the circus.
It's true, I am. We're going to date a dragon. How to date your dragon.
Normal things that happen at the circus.
You know, dragons at the circus. Why not?
Yep.
Yep.
So look forward to more weird Otome shenanigans next week.
Yay.